had a huge awareness shift around wealth creation, and I wanted to share with you because I feel like it would also be impactful in your life. So we're going to talk about a lot of different concepts here. Okay, so get ready, and some identity shifts that I have been experiencing. I have been reading this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it's by Robert Kiyosaki. Highly recommend. I picked it up a couple years ago and didn't understand what he was saying, and so I didn't finish it. But upon improving my financial literacy, we're in a much better place. However, I even got stumped a couple of areas in here, and I had to plug the pages into ChatGPT and be like, tell me what's going on where a 12-year-old would understand. And you know what? That worked. And so you got to start somewhere. Okay, forward movement is forward movement, even if you got to break it all the way down. Something that I was gleaning from this is he's saying that one of the reasons that people are stuck with their finances is because they're not taught what the difference between assets and liabilities are. So we need to acquire more assets and have our money working for us instead of us working for it or trading our time or life force energy. So assets can be seen as real estate, high yield savings accounts, stocks, bonds, EFTs, all of these things that I was never taught anything about. But that doesn't mean that we cannot learn. And what ends up happening is those things make you money without you having to, again, put in time and life force energy. I mean, they make money like accruing, okay, and compound upon themselves, and then you don't have to be reliant upon a job, a career, or a business. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, I don't have what I need to make those type of investments right now. Okay, well, this video is going to be perfect for you because we're going to do a workaround and how to do this on an energetic quantum level. And even if that is you, where you're like, oh, I don't have that right now, girl, get prepared for it. Because it's one thing to say, oh, that'll be nice one day, and then we don't work on our financial literacy. But then it's a whole nother thing of, oh, I know that I have millions of dollars in my energetic bank account, so I need to prepare myself. What am I going to be doing with that? Because now we can have something that is growing for us without us having to come at it like a job or a business or a career. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So I was thinking about my business, the one that I have now and the one that I had before with the doggy daycare. Even though the term business does apply, that's not what I'm really going for, because I see people who are building empires, and that's great for them. That's not for me, and maybe that's not for you either. I want to create a soul playground where I am an embodiment of a certain frequency and identity and skills and concepts, and people decide to come and have exchanges with me in my realms, okay, in my world. That to me is a lot more naturalistic and in congruence with my personality. So back to Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I was in the shower this morning thinking, oh, my skills are my assets. That is what is compounding wealth creation energy in my field. And that is what is helping me become that person of not having a business and building an empire, but holding a certain vibration that people also want to experience, and then they make their way into my realm, and we work together or we connect. But my internal energetics and all of the energy that I have been putting in towards my skills over the years, that is building my asset column. Okay, where it just continues to circulate on its own without me having to put in so much time and life force energy. This is when you become a magnet to things into your field, instead of you going after them and trying to put in a ton of effort or convincing energy. Like, oh yeah, my real estate and high yield savings account and stocks and bonds are my skills. Right? And even though I still want to do those other things, okay, that he's talking about in here, it was like a complete rewire in my subconscious. Because sometimes we are quantifying our success in the terms of like materialism, or in acquiring assets, like physical assets. But if you can see you as your greatest asset, then everything else starts to fall into place. I'm going to give you an example of this. So yesterday I was watching a video of this very successful woman who's an entrepreneur, but instead of talking about strategy, she was talking more about energy. So that was really resonating with me. After I got done watching it, I said, oh, you know what? I really want to change my social media headers of saying like who I am and what it is I'm supporting people with. And I went and did that, and I completely had a identity shift just in doing that yesterday, and completely different downloads, insights, and plans about what I'm doing in this next chapter. But that's because I watched a 15-minute video that was outside of the scope of my current conceptual level that shifted me into the new identity, and then I took action on the 3D plane. So I supported my internal assets, my skills, and then also my external assets of people landing on my page and saying, oh, there's a whole revamp here. And it's in alignment with a new group of persons who I'm going to be, you know, onboarding into my realms coming up here. But it starts with the internal assets, and now we're creating more external assets. Because of that, I was able to have that download and insight in the shower this morning about this very concept here. So where I'm going with that is it's us paying attention to our energy, then our identity, and then the reality shifts outside of us. And if this is a skill that you're very interested in learning how to improve in your own life, I'm sure you're already doing it now. That's why you're listening to this video. So you're already pro, you're already an expert if you have made it this far. But you know, we can always step outside of our current conceptual level. I have a 21-day Say Yes to Magic challenge. It starts on December the 1st. You can sign up in my bio, and for 21 days, you're going to receive channeled messages, which are soul retrievals, to help you have identity shifts every single day, so you can make those adjustments before the new year. And so I want to thank you for listening to my TED Talk, and I'm wishing you and your inner children an absolutely magical day.